So a quick reminder of trigonometry, right angle trigonometry. It all comes down to the three rules and labelling your triangle. So remember, this little symbol here represents an unknown angle, and we call that theta. I'll just write that here, theta. We should know from Pythagoras' theorem that opposite our right angle, this is the hypotenuse. I can almost hear you all yelling that out, hypotenuse. And because this is my angle in question, right, opposite that is the opposite side. And then adjacent next to the angle is indeed our adjacent side. Okay, so once you know that and you can label, and I think you're all remembering, oh yes, I know how to label, we need to make sure we know our rules. So remember sine theta, can you remember what it was? That is opposite over hypotenuse, and the cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, while the tangent is opposite over adjacent. And the trick to remembering those rules was SOHCAHTOA. So SOHCAHTOA. Right? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent. Now remember, there are only three types of problems that you can get. Okay, and it's all about the type of unknown and where it is, not sine, cos and tan. So let's go through pretty quickly. Remember, the first step is always label your triangle. So this here, we know opposite our right angle, that's got to be the hypotenuse. And then the angle that we're interested in, opposite that, is your opposite side, and then left over is of course the adjacent. Now we look at the information that is going to be useful to us. I want to find this length, I have that information, so I'm going to get rid of the adjacent. It's not needed anymore because it just is irrelevant. So I then look at my three rules. Which of the three rules uses O and H? Well, the only one is sine theta. So we write the rule. Okay, so label your triangle, write the rule, and after we've written our rule, a good mathematician will substitute the information. Okay, so we're going to substitute the opposite, or actually before the opposite, we have our theta is 42. We've got equals, our opposite is 17, and our hypotenuse is x. And this is where you have to remember, when the unknown is downstairs, to get rid of this divide by x, you have to times. So we're going to go x times sine 42 equals 17. And now to get rid of that times, we have to divide. So it becomes 17 over sine 42. And I don't know if you remember, but what I like to say was you could just do the switcheroo. When the unknown is downstairs, do the switcheroo. Alright, now it's a simple matter of going to your calculator. You make sure it's in degrees, and we're just going to say 17 over, let's check again, what did it say to do? 17 divided by sine 42. So 17 divided by, here's our sine button, 42 equals, so 25.4. Okay, I know that this is a reasonable answer. Oops, 25.4, because it's our hypotenuse, and we know the hypotenuse has to be bigger than the other side. So if I got an answer less than 17, I'd have to go back and check and just see, have I made a mistake anywhere? All right, so that looks pretty good. Let's do our second type of problem that we've got. Once again, start off, label your triangle. So here's my right angle, opposite is the hypotenuse. This is the angle in question, so opposite that, that's the opposite side there. And then left over is your adjacent. Now in this case, it's the hypotenuse that doesn't have any information, nor do we want to find it. So that gets the boot. We come back up. What rule uses A and H? Cos theta is the only one, so we write that down. So write your rule. Cos theta equals A over h, and now we substitute, we put our information in. Our angle, remember that's what that stands for, is 11. It says equals, I put equals. What's our A? Our A is the x centimetres, and h is the 58. This is a lot easier, this one. We want to get x by itself, so to get rid of our divide by 58, we are going to multiply by 58, and we times that upstairs the other side, so it becomes 58 times cos 11. Now when I go to my calculator, notice the hypotenuse is 58, so I'm expecting a smaller answer. So 58 times cos 11. Let's try that. 58 times cos 11. Now on your scientific calculators, make sure you close your bracket there. 56.93. Well, it's smaller, not by much, but that's okay. 56.93 centimetres. Okay, so notice they all start the same. We have to label, you choose what information you have, and then you choose the rule according to the information you have. Substitute in your information, and we're done and dusted. One last rule to do. So last one, do the same thing, label your triangle. So here's my right angle, which means this is my hypotenuse. This is the angle that I want to find, and that's what makes this the last type of question, where we're finding an angle, not a length. So here's the angle, that makes that the opposite. Last but not least is adjacent. Oops, and it jumped. So now what do we want to do? We want to find what rule are we actually using. So which one is no good? We're going to get rid of the hypotenuse there because it's got no information and we don't want to have it. Look back at your rules. What's the only rule that uses O and A? It's our good old friend, tan. So tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. We do the normal, sub your information in. This time we don't know the angle. It says equals, I put equals. Opposite is 17, and your adjacent here is 15. So now, before we go, when we go to our calculator, we now want to get rid of the tan. Do you remember how we do that? So if you look over here, you can see tan. We don't want to press our tan button. We want to go to the one above it there, which is called your inverse tan. So we go Shift tan, back in our fraction, and I've forgotten what it was. It was 17 over 15. So pop that in. And this is in degrees now, so 48.6 degrees. So we go, therefore, theta equals 48.6 degrees. Just let me double check that. Correct. Sometimes I forget. And that's it. So you've got your three different rules. It's about where your unknown is. So when the unknown is downstairs, you do the switcheroo. When the unknown is upstairs, we get rid of that divide by timesing. And of course, when we want to get rid of a sine, a cos, or a tan, then we have to go to our calculator and go inverse sine, inverse cos, or inverse tan. So now what you need to do is go and practice some questions. So use your textbook, go back and look at any old tests and worksheets, and you must practice. Good luck.